Good evening. We are calling to order the August 27th, 2025 meeting of the Village of Vernon Hills Planning and Zoning Commission. We'll start with a roll call. Commissioner Cotton?
Yeah, here.
Commissioner Fluno?
Here.
Commissioner Leese?
Here.
Commissioner Nabbitt?
Here.
And Commissioners Heidner and Smith gave prior notice that they would be unavailable, as did Chairman Morris. So we have a quorum of 4. Our first item of business is we will need a motion to nominate a chair pro tem for this evening.
I'll motion.
Who would you like to nominate?
Jerry.
So we have a motion, a nomination of Commissioner Cotton to chair pro tem the meeting this evening. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion made by Commissioner Fluno, seconded by Commissioner Leese. Commissioner Fluno?
Commissioner Nabbitt.
Yes.
Sorry. Commissioner Fluno?
Yes.
Commissioner Nabbitt?
Yes.
Commissioner Leese?
Yes.
And Commissioner Cotton?
Yes.
All right, so you can continue with the first item, the general public comment.
Okay, has anyone signed up to speak?
Only the
For
petitioners.
Public, okay. Is there anyone in the audience that wishes to speak on a non-agenda item?
No one's come forward.
Okay, so we're going to the first item on the agenda, which is a public hearing for case number 2025-11, which is a petition filed by North Shore Sign Company on behalf of Baxter Credit Union, property owner, requesting a variation from the requirements of Chapter 19 signs per Section 21-5 of the zoning code. Can I ask anyone who's going to be speaking on behalf of the petitioner to come up? Okay. And I'm going to swear you in. Please state your names first.
Yep. I'm Matt Laska with North Shore Sign.
Zeke Hillenbrand, Baxter Credit Union.
Okay, and can you raise your right hand, and can you assure that the testimony that you're about to give is accurate?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Now, do you want to tell us what you're going to be doing, what your proposal is?
Yeah, so basically what we are looking to do is the existing sign that is pretty much in the middle of the BCU campus on Milwaukee Avenue will be removed and demoed. We are going to be relocating a new monument-style sign with an electronic message unit on the corner, right on the bottom right corner there of Milwaukee Avenue. So the existing BCU sign is a masonry-style monument sign with an existing message unit. The new monument sign will be a similar design, so it will include a masonry base, a metal cabinet reading BCU, as well as an electronic message board. The electronic message board will be slightly bigger than what is currently there in terms of height. Width-wise, about the same. Height-wise is where it's about adding an extra foot onto from what the existing sign is. As far as the message unit goes, it is entirely customized programming, which means BCU will be able to control the brightness as well as duration of messages, type of messages, anything like that, so as not to cause too much of any distraction or anything like that. The Watchfire unit, what is the brand of unit here, will also become equipped with a internal photo cell, so it'll automatically dim, so during the night it will dim down to its lowest setting, and then obviously in direct sunlight will brighten to help easy to read there. As far as the actual sign goes, where BCU reads right there will be individual push-through lettering, so only BCU will illuminate rather than the entire box. So the blue will not illuminate just the white BCU. And that's pretty much it for kind of like the details of it. Resolution-wise for the message unit, it is an 8mm, so it is capable of text, animations, and pictures as well. So, like I said, it is customized programming to whatever is and is not allowed, and they can, obviously work with Vernon Hills to be what is allowed versus duration and stuff like that. Sign will also include some new landscaping. You can see right there kind of more the detailed plans of what they're going to be doing. I believe you guys are reusing as much from the existing sign as possible, right?
We're going to try to, yes.
Yeah. So very similar landscaping to what is at the current sign right now. And then, like I said, the existing sign will be demoed, and then any pole or anything like that will be just cut to grade.
Okay. Are there any other staff comments?
So you have the comments from the staff report. I had drafted a motion with some conditions of approval, somewhat based on the original approval, which did limit some of the functionality of the sign. It was part of the original variation, so in the relocation, I sort of started with that as the baseline. There's no particular science to some of these numbers, so the limitation on 5 seconds, if they would like a slightly more frequent refresh of the images or the text, that's certainly up to the discretion of the commission to include in the recommendation. I was able to find the minutes of the original Planning and Zoning Commission meeting in response to a question from Commissioner Leese. Some of the concerns that the original, it was actually the zoning board at the time, some of the concerns that the zoning board had were just that these signs were not frequently approved. The only one at the time was CDW, which was approved in sort of a different fashion as part of their development agreement. And that sign does have some functionality that this sign doesn't necessarily have. But they're somewhat near each other. This is a newer sign. We did review the CDW sign. It doesn't have video. It doesn't have, at least the day that we reviewed it, it didn't have a lot. It wasn't flashing. It didn't have any other unusual features. So with these limitations, the zoning board and the village board did ultimately approve this sign. The reason this is here in front of you again is that the original sign variation had very specific drawings attached to it, which included the location. So we were not able to just approve a sign without also having them go through the variation process. So happy to answer any questions from the staff perspective on what the ask is.
Okay, I also want to note that responses to the standards for variation as listed in section 21.5 of the zoning code have been provided by the petitioner, and they are included in the staff report. And these responses are entered into record as have been read. Also, public notice for the hearing was completed as required by state statute and the village code. The publication dates are listed in the staff report. And have there been any comments received?
We have received no comments on this.
Okay. Are there any questions for the petitioner, Commissioner Leese?
Just a few. Is Baxter Credit Union still a nonprofit
We are,
and still not driven by private stockholders?
correct. It's a nonprofit member owned.
And is this like a TV screen sign versus what you had before, just seemed limited?
Yeah, so I'll let Matt talk to you later.
So
Go ahead.
basically, yeah, the screen that is there now was a much lower resolution, capable of mainly just text messages. The newer screen can still, obviously do just text messages of it, but it does give them a little bit more creativity in terms of the resolution. Similar to kind of what the Vernon Hills Village signs have. These are all actually for the police department and public works, our watch fire units. So it's very similar software and stuff like that. So it is more capable of animations and stuff like that and pictures compared to what they had before, because before, I believe that would have been like a 16 or a 19 millimeter resolution, which is a very low, so any images would be pixelated. This is going to be an 8 millimeter, so any content like that would be a little bit more clear and easy to read on that end.
But not like photos, like clear photos? Could that go up there?
Photos can go up there, yes.
Videos?
Videos, so videos we typically don't put on these message units because it's an entirely different technological setup. So there can be, like animations like a waving flag and stuff like that. But in terms of, someone playing like a straight video, no, these aren't capable of that.
Okay.
And our intention is to display static messages. So, I think the image that was included is very representative of what we would display for kind of a considerable duration. So part of the growth that BCU's had, we've expanded to 2 buildings on that campus now, from the 340 on North Milwaukee to 340 and 300. The branch is now closer to where this intersection is, which makes it kind of more intuitive on how to navigate into that location. And part of our growth in the community and the addition of the branches we're adding in the area is to help people understand what BCU is. So the name Baxter Credit Union comes from, that's where the BCU comes from. But if you just look at the BCU, it's not always intuitive. Is that a university? Is it, what is it? And so one of our core objectives of maintaining some of the functionality is to be able to display this as a financial institution like you see here. We're open to everyone. We're open to the community. Our marketing plan certainly is not to flash pictures or animation. It's that static, highly visible, intentional imagery and marketing and branding of BCU.
Okay. Did anybody look at like the sight distance on the turning radius there? Is it blocking?
So it's pretty far, I'll talk if you guys did the survey on this, but it's pretty far set back into that corner when you kind of come around from, southbound on Milwaukee Avenue and turning. And so there's not a right turn there. There's no visual sight lines as you would turn kind of left heading north on Milwaukee Avenue. So from a traffic kind of impairment perspective, I think we're pretty far set back still.
Okay, so you would turn right before, you would pass the sign before you would turn right?
Yes.
Okay. I think my only thought at first was that maybe they should keep the sign the same, since we're just kind of carrying over a variation instead of making it bigger. But I don't have a strong opinion on it, I guess, if everyone else is okay with it.
Brian?
Overall, I understand why you're moving the sign. I think it makes sense. That's where your traffic pattern is. From a standpoint of the landscape plan, certainly respect the fact that you're taking existing plants and you're moving them. But I've noticed that it's basically all herbaceous. It's all perennials and annual flowers. There's no shrubs, evergreens, anything that's going to be there 6 months out of the year. So I don't know if staff has reviewed the landscape or.
Our landscape tech did not review this particular one, so if you have a suggestion, this would be the time to include it with the recommendation.
Yeah, I would just say from a standpoint of whoever you use for that sort of work, I would incorporate some low shrubs,
Some evergreen type material.
some low evergreens, some
Maintain
low
winter.
flowering shrubs, just to kind of balance it out, because otherwise it's going to be an empty bed
Yeah.
6 months out of the year. The second ask would be that when the bed gets mulched, that it's mulched with a natural mulch and not anything that's colored or red or rock or anything like that. And then the third would be your existing sign is on a slope, so the stone base is held up a little higher.
Yes.
This one looks like it's about 20 inches off the ground, so some of the plants that you have there may actually be growing past the stone and starting to block some of the BCU. So either a planting change or possibly even bumping it up a couple inches might be,
Yeah, I think that's a great consideration. I noticed our current sign today, if you go past it, some of the landscape actually does grow up into the display board a little bit. So certainly we'll want to make sure that what we put in from a design perspective isn't covered by the landscaping.
Sure.
Yeah, 100%.
All right, thank you.
Commissioner Knappett? Okay. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak or ask questions? Okay. Then I would like to close the public hearing. So the motion is to recommend approval of a variation from Chapter 19 signs, Section 19-5, exempt signs, subsection 8, to permit an electronic message center otherwise restricted to government entities for the property located at 300 to 340 North Milwaukee Avenue, Vernon Hills, Illinois, per Section 21 variations of the zoning code as described in the application by North Shore Sign Company on behalf of Baxter Credit Union dated July 25th, 2025, and in accordance with the exhibits, the job narrative, the sign design drawing from North Shore Sign, last revised July 30th, 2025. The landscape plan dated July 30th, 2025, and the following conditions for approval. 1, the LED display shall include a photocell to dim the screen at night. 2, the images shall be displayed for a minimum of 5 seconds. 3, features that would not comply with other sections of the sign code, such as a strobe effect, will be disabled. 4, the existing sign shall be removed and the area shall be restored with topsoil and seeded within 30 days of the new sign becoming operational. And then today we added number 5, low shrubs such as evergreens will be added to the landscape bed. Number 6, any mulch that is added in the landscaping will be natural colored. And number 7 is you will add a few inches to the sign so it is not covered by the landscaping. Are there any others that I missed?
No, I would probably phrase number 7 is just ensure that the lettering on the signage is visible above the plantings, and however they choose to make that happen.
Stone bases.
Yeah.
Raised, yes. And can I have a second for the corrected motion?
Second.
Roll call?
So we have a motion made by the chair, Chair Pro Tem Cotton, a second by Commissioner Nabbitt. Commissioner Nabbitt,
Yes.
Commissioner Fluno,
Yes.
Commissioner Lees,
Yes.
and Chair Pro Tem Cotton.
Yes.
Okay, so that carries. This is a recommending body. This will go to the village board. What I will do is request this for probably a single read, and the typical item goes as a first read, second read, but I will be looking at doing this in one meeting on September 16th. So I'll be in touch with you, and we'll, just to confirm that we have that date set, okay?
All right, sounds good.
You're looking to do this summer, this fall? Or
I think, yeah, as soon as, we get all the approvals from you guys, we will start production on the sign right away. So, yeah, usually you fall before, winter starts, would like to get this in the ground, so, yeah.
I think the timing will be depending on the ground freeze, if we can get approvals moved through in that
Yeah.
timeframe, otherwise.
Planting's done before?
Yeah, first.
Thank you.
Thank you for your
Thank
time.
you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, guys.
The second case is a public hearing for case number 2025-12, a petition filed by Focus Development, Inc. on behalf of property owners requesting, 1, amendments to ordinance 2013-014 as amended to revise the Hawthorne Mall PUD, granting variations of the zoning code and sign code, and to allow for the subdivision of the property described below, and 2, amendments to the ordinance 2013-013 as amended to revise the site plan, landscape plan, and architectural plans associated with the Hawthorne Mall PUD to facilitate construction of a mixed-use building on the property described below in accordance with Appendix C zoning of the Village of Vernon Hills Code of Ordinances, Section 4-12, and Section 13-3, Article 18, Section 21.5 and 21.6, and Chapter 19, Sign Code, Section 19.3. Anyone who is going to be speaking, if you could step forward and so I can swear you in as a group.
Sorry.
And can everybody state your names, please? And there's a portable mic. And the
You have to
one,
flip it on.
the one rule we have here is you must speak into the mic.
Scott Trafford, the Phineas Capital.
Nick Igo, Cooper Carey Architects.
Tim Anderson, CEO of Focus.
Courtney Brower, Vice President of Focus.
Sam Whitebread, Centennial Real Estate. Andrew Czekowski, SK&I Architecture.
Kayla O'Sullivan, Kimley Horn, Civil Engineers.
Lauren Robinson, Focus Development.
Brendan Cloney, Clark Conn and Associates, Landscape Architecture.
Okay, if everyone can raise their right hand and affirm that that your testimony today will be accurate and truthful? Yes. Okay. So I don't know who wants to start, but okay.
Yeah, I'll just stand up here. Thank you so much for your time. It's a privilege to be up here and speak with you. I'm Scott Traver, the Phoenix Capital, representing ownership. And as you've just witnessed, there are a lot of my colleagues here. They're excited to share their vision and view of what we want to do to Hawthorne. I've got the chance over the last several months to meet with Andrew, the mayor, and Kevin, and just understand more what's important to you all as a community. And I hope that what we're going to share tonight is a representative of that. We think that Hawthorne has a tremendous chance to be the center of Hawthorne again, of Vernon Hills again. You can see the image that we're setting up here. This will be the placemaking area that's going to connect the multifamily that we're building with the retail. So we're just super excited to go through it. So really quickly, I'll start with introductions on a high level. On the left side of your page there, Scott Trafford from Ownership and Sam Whitebread. On the right-hand side of the page, you have Tim and his team from Focus, and Atlantic is the manager of the multifamily group. And then you also heard introductions from the consultants that have helped us get to the vision to where we are today. And they'll all be available for questions as we go through the deck. There's a lot of information we want to share with you, and I know it's a lot. And they're excited to share that with you, so you just can set the pace of whatever questions you need to answer, and we're here to get through it. So this is what we're going to talk about today, is the rough outline there is our planned development area. These are the areas that were impacted by the presentation tonight. So you can see that it's a little different we had last time when the group was here 3 years ago. On the left-hand side of page is what was presented and approved that contemplated taking down a bit of the mall and shifting the multifamily off to the side. After consideration, we looked at the right side of page is a lot more efficient in many ways. It has better connectivity from Town Line Road going north into the plaza, connecting both phase 1 and phase 2 in the first scheme that we saw with the activation area, connecting the retail and the multifamily together. It preserves about 130,000 square feet of retail, which we understand is very important to you, as it is to us for that engagement with the community. So focus tonight is going to be on this area here for the most part, which is the phase 2 multifamily and mixed use, retail down below. And then later on, we're going to talk about how we're going to connect that to with the east and the south plazas. And I'm going to have Courtney come up from Focus and walk you through the multifamily development. Thanks.
Good evening. I'm Courtney Brower with Focus. And as Scott said, I'm going to be speaking primarily about the mixed-use parcel, which is everything depicted here in red. This slide is showing what was approved 3 years ago in October of 2022 versus what we're here to talk about today. Today, we're proposing a 4-story apartment building with 288 residential units, 37,000 square feet of retail, and there will be a structured parking garage with 540 spaces that serves both the residential and retail component of the mixed-use development. In addition to that, there will also be 20 stalls located on the street that service the retail only. This slide is depicting some of the key aspects of the site plan and the site planning. As Scott had mentioned, when we were here in 2022, the mixed-use site was located further to the west on this page. And now we've relocated it so it's directly south of phase 1. We do believe this is a better location for a number of reasons. One being this new location allows us to retain more rentable area within the mall. And this new location also aligns with a signaled intersection, which we believe is better for visibility. So some of the key components is number 1 is the Paseo. That is a covered walkway. It's a concept that we introduced at Phase 1, and we're continuing here at Phase 2. So the Phase 1 Paseo extends through the Phase 2 parcel and actually provides a covered walkway to that west parking field on the left hand of the page. Number 2 is the wide opening at the mouth of Hawthorne Row and the Ring Road. We believe that this wide opening helps to enhance views of that retail corridor, the plaza beyond, and the mall. Number 3 is identifying areas of pedestrian activity, areas where we're providing sidewalks. So for example, at Phase 1, there is a sidewalk located adjacent to the Ring Road, and we are extending and continuing that sidewalk around Phase 2, and it carries further west by the west parking field. There's a sidewalk connection between Phase 1 and Phase 2, running east-west on the page that we believe will be used and trafficked primarily by the residential occupants. And then on the new Hawthorne Row extension, we have very generous sidewalks. They range anywhere from 15 feet to 5 feet at the smallest, and that is just encouraging pedestrian activity and traffic along that new retail strip. Number 4 is identifying the vehicular entrances to the garage. So there are 2 entrances to the parking garage, one located on the right side of the page off of the Ring Road. That will most likely be used primarily by the residential tenants. And then another access point located off of Hawthorne Row that'll be used primarily by the retail patrons. Number 5 is identifying our amenitized courtyards. Those are private courtyards. At Phase 1, we had 1 amenitized courtyard, and here we're proposing 2. And then lastly, number 6, we will be providing public restrooms for our retail patrons. This is a lesson learned from Phase 1. We did not provide restrooms over there, but here we're providing restrooms that can service both Phase 1 and Phase 2. This is just a very good bird's eye view. We are looking north from Town Line Road. In the foreground, you see the proposal for the Phase 2 mixed use. In the background, you see the existing Phase 1 building called the Domain. You start seeing pieces of the East Plaza and the mall in the background. This is the first floor plan for the mixed-use building. In red, that is the retail area. There's, again, about 37,000 square feet of retail, and we are assuming the end caps will most likely be restaurants. There's also ample outdoor space for outdoor seating for those potential restaurant tenants. Those are 2-story high spaces that we believe will be marketable for the tenants we would like to capture. In blue, that is the common area residential space located just north of the driveway along Hawthorne Row would be our main entrance and lobby with amenities behind wrapping around that courtyard. And then in yellow are some residential units. Only in the westernmost building are there residential units on the ground floor, and the majority of those have private patios. This is your typical floor plan. The building, it's obviously 2 buildings. The westernmost building has 60 units, and the eastern building will have about 228 units. The parking garage and all of the amenities are located in the eastern building. However, there will be a bridge located on the 3rd floor that will provide access to the residents in the west building to get to the amenities, to get to the parking garage without having to step outside. This is very similar to what we had done and built over at Domain, and it was very successful there. From here, I am going to pass it off to Andy with SK&I. He is our design architect. He is going to speak to some of the architectural expression and materials.
Thanks, Courtney. Hi, everyone. I'm Andrew Tchaikovsky with SK&I Architects. So I'll just kind of walk you through some of these views that we've prepared to illustrate the project. This is the view coming off of Town Line on the south side of the property. I will caveat, when we came here 3 years ago and got the previous design approved, the architecture was very well received, I think, by the board and by the community. So as we reinterpreted the new site plan, we wanted to keep these architectural expressions, and we repurposed them, and we sort of redesigned the building with all that in mind. So what you see here is still a collage of those different architectural identities to create the variety and the atmosphere of a unique place. This is the double-sided retail street coming north from Town Line. You see the red brick, sort of Main Street type buildings that runs north and south on this new road. We've maintained that mercantile white sort of metal panel building on the right when you come in. That used to be sort of on the green with a large sign. That large sign is now being repurposed on top of the mall. And Nick will illustrate that in a few minutes. But I think you'll see the sort of the collage of different pieces here. The dark tower sort of just beyond the white building is the residential entrance and the lobby for all the residents to go in there. And what you see here is that we've opened up the end cap here to create these plazas for outdoor cafe and seating. This is a view sort of at the north end, looking south. The Dave & Buster's is sort of on your right behind you. We have a second tower here on this corner. So if you're coming from Domain and you pass under the existing bridge and you look to the left, you capture this. This captures your eye and it draws you to this corner and this whole new street of retail. So we think this is a really interesting placemaking moment to kind of extend the experience of the Domain in the first phase and then wrap it around and bring it down to this new phase. This is a lower level view looking south down this double-sided retail street with all the activity and sort of the hustle bustle and all the cafe. The sidewalks are nice and wide. There's plenty of room for outdoor seating. And it's, and you can see the residential bridge in the background. This is a view of the Paseo on the sort of the western building. So people who park in the parking field on the west can walk through here and arrive at this place, and then they can cross the street and wander through phase one, kind of run towards the Anthropology building or the Anthropology retail space. The Dave & Buster's is just a little to the right of this view. And then the next series of slides actually will get into the materials, and we brought these material boards here. So these are the same views that you've seen, and yeah, Courtney will pass around all the materials. We've actually maintained the same material palette from the previous design.
Yeah, I'm
Sure.
setting them in order of the.
Okay, this is great. So this first one is that mercantile. We have, there's a really rich, wonderful dark black brick that's at the base. We'll use that on the residential pieces on the eastern side of the building as well. And you can see the white metal panel that's associated with what we're calling the mercantile building. The second panel is probably the red brick. It's actually a really rich, wonderful, sort of dark iron spot red brick and then the dark metal panel for those two towers. Here's another view of that we just previously saw. We do have hardy panel, which is similar to the phase one. These are sort of these dark pavilions that march along above the retail with the ins and outs of the recessed balconies for the tenants to look over the retail street. There's a couple different shades of dark grays and light grays.
And then as you go to the east, as you go along the ring road, the architecture changes and it turns into the more of a residential nature and character. What's nice about the ring road is it creates these little recessed pockets for a lot of landscape. So the building will be buffered by, wonderful, little pocket parks along the way.
Can I ask about the hardy panels really quick?
Sure, sure.
Are they basically the size of these squares and rectangles on the building? Are they large sheets or are they?
So what we like to do is like use the sort of the size and the texture. Those are the colors, but Hardy comes in, there's some of them, they're big panels. So the frames of the building are the larger panels. And then the spandrels sort of between the windows is like the actual siding. So you get those little shadow lines. So there's a variety of colors and textures. So we get some relief and shadow play on the building.
Thank you.
Yeah, sure. So this is a view along the ring road as it turns from the sort of the mixed use to more of the residential, with these little fingers sticking out that we've clad in brick, and then the recesses are in the Hardy panel. This is a view going around the ring road. This is the eastern garage entrance. Primarily, this might be more of the residential entrance and more of both residents and retail shoppers can go into either one, but this one will take you directly in, and then as you go up, the residential tenants will primarily park on the second floor and up. So this is a view from on the east side of the building. And then this is the muse between phase 1 and phase 2. So if you go there now, there's sort of a sidewalk and it turns into a parking lot. So when the parking lot goes away and this is erected, this will be the space between the buildings. It's a really wonderful little place. I think this will create a lot of activity, primarily with the residents as they kind of wander through and around the different projects to really activate this space.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
The right is phase 1.
Exactly,
And the
yes.
left is phase 2?
Yes.
Am I seeing balconies? Are those?
Yeah, there are balconies along there on both properties.
sides?
Yeah.
Are there any challenges with people storing things on the balconies that might not be visually appealing?
I mean, there's always that chance. I guess it could be more of a management issue. I don't know.
That's what I'm asking, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. Hopefully there's like tables and chairs and.
That would be my question is, as far as the management of the residential units, are there any type of restrictions, covenants that prevent you from having, your favorite team sports flag or something that's bold that distracts from the overall?
Yes. There are, the management typically, as in the lease, typically in a lease, they'll have restrictions about all of that. You can't hang laundry out there, can't hang sheets over the edge, what you say, the Bears' big flag or something like that, so yes.
Flashing lights that would be distracting.
Right.
Okay.
Now, typically, Christmas time, you get the Christmas lights occasionally on the balconies, and we draw the line in trying to control too much of that. But
Would there be a restriction of, only during the holiday season or something like that, so it's not a year-round thing?
not a year-round thing.
No, that's fine. These are good questions. Yeah, and then on the eastern side of the building, there's a little smaller courtyard you can see that there's a planned dog park that landscape will describe in later issue in a moment. And then there's the material palette for these in pavilions with the white brick and the cast stone. I think you probably have them there in front of you. And then as there are a lot of these, like you said, the balconies, so there's some larger framed balconies that will be in the larger, sheets of Hardy panel, the larger sort of, it's more like, panels of Hardy, and then you'll see the different sizes. We like to use different sort of exposures, like wider and narrower to give it different textures and shadow lines on the building. And that's it, and I'll hand it over to Brendan and talk about the landscape.
Good evening again. Again, I'm Brendan Cloney with Clark Condon Associates with a landscape architect on the project. So I know you guys have kind of already seen this plan, flashed in front of you a handful of times, so I'll just kind of hit some of the highlights and some of the key aspects of the design. So as discussed, I'll start on Plan South, kind of at that wide mouth opening coming off the loop road up Hawthorne Row. So again, we have some pretty generous patio spaces for the planned restaurant area, so you'll see those on both sides. Materiality-wise, we're thinking probably lightly integral color and exposed aggregate concrete, similar to what you see on Phase 1, some of that black granite exposed concrete. Generous planting beds on both sides of the street, kind of running that whole thing. And what we're trying to do here is create a cadence on the streetscape, using the same material palette as you see at the Domain and on Phase 1, but just creating a little bit of a different expression using that same material palette. So marching north up Hawthorne Row, right there underneath the pedestrian bridge, we have a split sidewalk condition, but again, we're still, very generous pedestrian area. So up against the building, we're at 8 feet. Going out to the side where we have to ramp down a little bit, we're at 10.
Can you just describe that in a little bit more detail so that the commission can visualize what you mean by the split sidewalk?
Sure.
And you can use the mouse if you'd like.
Sure. So right here going north, there'll be a step up in the building foundation. So what we have to do on the ground plane there is here we'll have a series of 2 ramps, and they're really not ramps. They're still going to be under a 5% slope, so we don't have to put handrails and all that stuff to like really signify a ramp. But it does help us make up some of that grade change. So we'll be coming up here at a nice landing that comes straight across to both building entrances and then ramp back up. And on this side, we're staying at grade with the building foundation here, so all this stays level. And then there's a slight step down from the patio out to the streetscape level.
There is a rendering in the appendix, if that helps. We can flip to an hour.
I think this is fine. I just wanted the commission to understand that you've created additional flat areas by splitting it out, so there's still opportunity for outdoor seating and whatnot.
Yes. And that area is split with I think a 3 or 4 foot wide planting bed, so you still get some nice visual appeal and not just kind of these weird changes in level. Moving north along the streetscape, you'll see some difference in paving materials. Again, that's just going from a plain concrete back to the exposed aggregate concrete and just continuing that expression all the way through the streetscape. We'll have some benches, street lights, some raised curbed planters all along here. And so going back to a little bit about what Courtney was mentioning earlier, we're sitting anywhere between 13 and 14 feet between the building facade and the back of those planters. And those planters are a nice 7-foot wide buffer and then another 18 inches between the planting bed and the back of curb. So we have a lot of nice space. But we wanted to make sure that we were softening up some of that feel and not just having a sea of paving along the entire area. Working our way over to the north, we're kind of just continuing that expression, wrapping around the building. Through the Paseo space, we'll have another material change just to kind of highlight that it is a special area. Going east across the street, we have another smaller kind of restaurant patio space. And then moving into this muse area between Phase 1 and Phase 2, a lot of softscape, pretty generous planting beds, and then that connection point between Phase 1 and Phase 2, and then into the amenitized courtyard area that does have a small dog run. I think we're at like 1,800 square feet, so it's not very big, but it's still just some area for people to let their dogs get out and run around. We'll have a small outdoor kitchen area and a small fire pit, and then wrapping around the rest of the property, as Andy had mentioned, wherever that building tucks in, we have some nice generous planting areas to kind of tuck that back and provide a little, a much softer feel from the street view, and kind of soften up some of that building facade. And this is just reiterating some of the hardscape material that I was mentioning previously. So we have a blend of plain, broom finished concrete, some exposed aggregate concrete, and then highlighting some of those key areas, mostly at the residential entry points and the Paseo. We'll do a concrete unit paver, the same blend that you'll see at the Domain. And then a little bit of a different mix in the amenitized courtyard, and then mixing that in with some treated artificial turf for the dog park. And then here we have our proposed planting palette. Again, this is very similar to what was used on phase one. We tried to mix in a couple more natives with the coneflower, for example, or the allium. So what we wanted to kind of hit home here is that we're aiming for year-round seasonal interest. So we have a mix of evergreens. We have some species that'll provide excellent fall color. We'll have some of the ground plane stuff flowering at different points of the year. So we really just want to emphasize seasonal interest throughout the year.
Do the planters also have seasonal, four-season plantings? Or
The planters along the streetscape?
Along the sidewalk, yes.
Yes, so like half of them have a street tree in them, but even the ones that have a street tree will have a ground cover underneath. So we're mixing between blue rug juniper and fragrant sumac on the ground plane in those planters. And then kind of wrapping around it, just the mix gets a little bit more extensive when we have more room. And then I will pass it back over to Courtney.
So we're providing affordable housing at the mixed-use building. 20% of the units will be set aside as affordable. So that's approximately 58 units, and they're spread across the different unit types. We wanted to provide another type of housing that can work for another income type. The affordable housing will be eligible to people making 60% or less of the area median income. That income is defined by HUD on an annual basis. The income and the rent limits are defined by HUD. So what you have on the screen are the 2025 limits. So for example, a one-person household making $50,400 a year can rent a studio apartment for $1,185 a month. That is almost 40% less than market rate. We will lease apartments to whomever is eligible, but we do think that this could serve a need within the community. So by way of an example, potentially entry-level teachers in the community can qualify for an affordable housing unit, or even potentially some of the retail workers, like for example, an assistant manager at one of the retail spaces in the mall could potentially qualify for affordable housing based on their income and potential household size. So it could provide opportunities for people to live and work on site. From here, I want to pass it along to Lauren Robinson to talk about the scope around the mall.
All right, good evening. So this slide really just provides an overview showing the extent, the boundary of the mall redevelopment. So you can see that it includes the east and the south facades, the east and the south plazas, and the reconfigured parking lot on the south side that really was a domino effect from reconfiguring the ring road. I do want to note that on the north end of the East Plaza, you'll see an area that says not in scope. That is the terraced plaza that's actually already been constructed in a plaza deck serving the second level tenants at the mall. That area has not changed. The design has not changed since our 2022 approval. And so since the design stays the same, we've talked with staff, that's deemed approved, and so it's not a part of this petition. And similar to what we showed for the mixed-use building, this is a snapshot of what was approved in 2022 versus what we are proposing now. We're super excited about the changes to the mall plan. So previously, we were taking down a big chunk of mall GLA, over 130,000 square feet, that was diminishing the retail square footage at the mall. Our current proposal is to virtually leave the mall intact. We are only demolishing a little over 5,600 square feet. That 5,600 square feet is like what we're calling the bump out. It's the area where Barnes & Noble formerly occupied that just protruded somewhat from the south facade. So that's the only area that's going to be demolished, and that'll give us a more continuous facade to play with and create a more dynamic south facade. We all know Carson's has already been demolished, so no change there. And then since we are leaving virtually the mall intact, we're affecting a much larger area with new facades. So close to 160,000 square feet of GLA at the mall will now get new outward-facing facades. And then also because we are leaving the mall intact, the plaza size did decrease. So from 3 acres to a little over to 2.25, still pretty expansive. We're still super excited. It gives us more than enough room to activate and provide amenity space for both projects. This is a site plan which is highlighting the key elements of the mall redevelopment. So number one, we're proposing two new two-story entrances, one on the east side and one on the south side. So these will be distinctive, they'll be iconic, they'll serve as landmarks for customers entering the mall. And then number two is showcasing our outward-facing retail on the south and the east side. This will provide tenants with exterior presence. They'll have opportunities for branding and entries, something that a lot of retailers are now going to want, are now wanting. So it's better access for them. And number three, again, the landscaped plaza. On the east side, we have an expansive plaza that'll provide activation opportunities for the mall. They'll be able to program that. We can all think of what may occur during different seasons of the year. We'll also have outdoor patio space for potential restaurant tenants. On the east and the south side. That east plaza, again, is a pretty large plaza, and then as we turn the corner by Dave & Buster's and come along the south side, it's more of a pedestrian path with planters and small areas for plantings. And then number five is just showing the reconfigured surface parking. Again, that's the domino effect from shifting the ring road north and also realigning the parking field to provide customers with better accessibility to our tenants in the new south facade. And so next, I believe Nick is going to come up and talk more specifically about the mall architecture.
Thanks, Lauren. I'm Nick Eigel with Cooper Carey Architects. I'm the design architect for the retail. This is a view of what's there right now. Where that mural is where the Sears used to be. You can see the kind of elevated roof of the concourse of the mall as it dead ends there. This is the reimagined view with the plaza in the foreground. As Lauren mentioned, there's outward-facing tenants to help activate this plaza, and they really complement what's happening at the residential buildings, and really making this a place that's active and alive with stores and restaurants. And on these elevations, the stores and the restaurants are meant to be the star of the show, with the kind of the mall fading into the background. You can see one of the two entries that Lauren mentioned. This is the east entry. It's very similar to the entry design that y'all approved previously. Same materials, a little bit different configuration. It might have gotten a little bit wider and a little bit taller to accommodate the width of that concourse that's coming through. You can see the landscape terrace and then the plaza below. This is a view as you're coming through between the phase one buildings, and you can see what's there existing right now. And this is the reimagined view. You can see the Dave & Buster's entrance on the left and the restaurant and retail tenants that are lining the the plaza level as well as the upper level, and the new mall entry. It's going to be a great space. And here's where Carson's was torn down and the existing conditions today, where that mural is. And to the left end of that mural is where the mall concourse dead ends right now. And here's the reimagined view of that. We've worked really hard with Phineas and Centennial to try and get a great variety of heights and ins and outs and pop-outs for these tenants here. These are not going to be the actual tenant designs. Maybe some of them are, but I can't really tell you which ones. But this is the intent of what Centennial is after with leasing, is to get a variety of heights, a variety of uses to really enhance this, what I'll call a linear plaza that's along this facade. Elevations, basically showing what was in those perspectives before. Again, the tenants are meant to be the star with the bit of the mall that's above them sort of, kind of fading into the background. And you can see the landscaped hillside coming down on the lower slide and the entry there. And then the upper view is to the left of that, where you see the tenants along the lower level there. And this is the south side. You can see the mall entry in the upper right-hand corner, and the two tenants to the left of that. And then the rest of it that goes off to the right towards the loading dock. I think you can see it in the key plan.
While you have, can you go back to
sorry,
one slide,
sure.
please?
Yeah.
Just while you're on this point, this really illustrates one of the notes from the staff report regarding the request for flexibility of design. And so while you have that up, I just wanted to make sure the Plan Commission could connect the dots on that.
Yeah.
The design guideline document doesn't necessarily apply to the mall itself. So there's a design guideline document that we use with the landlord for the tenant storefronts within both Hawthorne Row and the proposed retail strip. But there's no specific design guideline that helps us sort of rapidly decide what's okay, and the speed at which a tenant might need to approve something doesn't really work for bringing something back to the board over and over again. So what's being requested here is some flexibility of design to sort of set a standard, and that condition of approval is the draft of how that would work out. Just some flexibility to allow staff to make a decision that the palette is comparable to what you're seeing here, and really just have to be able to work at the speed of leasing so that they can quickly answer a tenant.
So you're referring to, like, if the design intent is the bump outs and the changes in elevation, but a certain tenant has a color scheme that is their brand.
Right, exactly.
You have the flexibility.
Right, and so the design guideline document that applies to the inline retail on the new retail streets, it's sort of giving us sort of the same leeway to work with the landlord within some parameters. Make sense?
Okay. And there's the loading dock area between Dave and Buster's, and the new entry would be off to the left. Plaza would be around the corner to the right. Dave and Buster's is existing as it's shown there. Materials, there's that wood look material that is on the entries, and I think it's showing up a little bit darker here than what the drawing is, and the intent is that it's the drawing color and not the darker color. And then there's a metal, a gray metal panel that goes above and surrounds that storefront color. And then there's some louvers that span in front of the windows that is the lighter wood that's shown underneath the larger wood sample. Again, these are the same colors that you guys saw a few years back. And I'm going to turn it over to Brendan again to talk about the plaza. Thank you.
It's me again. Okay, so this is the overall plan rendering of both. This is really supposed to be focused on the East Plaza. There's a small chunk of the South Plaza in this rendering, but we'll focus on the East Plaza for now. So coming up off Hawthorne Row, so just for a little bit of orientation and context, this is that Dave and Buster's entry that y'all have seen in those previous renderings. And then here you'll see, this is an area that's going to be kind of determined on tenant improvements. So you will see something in some of the later on renderings that we did, kind of put in a design or just a vision for that area, but that will be a tenant improvement area. But beyond that, we tried to keep some of the same intentions of the previous design. It's not as busy as it was before. There's, one, there's less room. Two, it just, we just wanted to make things a little bit more simple and just provide as much open space as we could, because we wanted to kind of nail down some of the points that we had in the previous design of just a big open space for this influx of residents that are going to be in this area. So through here, we have a couple of kind of small seating nodes, different material changes throughout. We will be using some of that natural stone that we'd shown in the previous iteration, some big limestone blocks, and different paving materials. So coming through the original Hawthorne Road between the two Phase 1 buildings, we have a strong access point that leads straight through the center line of the road, almost lining up directly with the new east entry of the mall. And then we have this large kind of what we're calling the retail landing. So this is kind of the precipice of like all these points coming together and then having a nice generous retail landing area that we're calling it. And then over to the right, we have a flex lawn. So this could be perfect for events, for ice skating, for gathering, a place to put up a bunch of tents if there is some kind of small festival going on. And then, of course, the existing hill and the landing up top. Moving to the South Plaza. Again, just kind of more generous pedestrian area in front of the retail facades. Each retail space is going to get kind of its own zone in front, so we will show a material change there just to kind of designate what is kind of retail and what's this larger open pedestrian area. We want to kind of line this whole entry with a mixture of planter pots, and then at the kind of the motor court drop off itself, we will do some illuminated bollards kind of interchangeably with the planter pots, so we don't just have like one wall of one thing going across. On the left-hand side, we have a small restaurant patio. Same with the east side, kind of small, kind of spill-out space for the restaurant patio, and then this corner also has its own kind of small patio space. And then, of course, planters just to kind of give a little bit of softness to that retail facade. And then this is kind of our axonometric view of the looking over the East Plaza, and kind of just the general context of everything. And then I believe Scott will be closing us out.
Thank you. I want to go back one. I think thank you to the team. That was excellent. You see, there's a lot of hands that have touched this project in the last year or two. And again, I just started less than a year ago, and I'm thrilled to be part of this because I think it's an excellent execution. As I started in the beginning, this feels like it could be the center point for Vernon Hills, and we're planning to attract people from all over the place to come here and spend time in your community. And as you alluded to this last one, like that center point there on the grass, summertime, go lay it down, throw a Frisbee, bring your dog out. Wintertime, we plan to have an ice rink, sit up there for several months. During the holiday, it'd be great. In the January, February, people get outside, do something out different. We love this plan. We're excited, and we can't go fast enough. Between the two projects, the retail and the multifamily Phase 2, we want to go as quick as possible. The Phase 1 is open and excellent execution, but this piece here is super important for us to get as fast as possible. So we look forward to moving this along and answering questions you have here, so we can get on. Any other questions you have for the group? You want to have anybody come up?
I have a couple things. It wasn't touched on in the presentation, but I believe there's a green wall along the open space as you go up the grade. Is that part of this scope or not? Like where the W is on the wall there?
Right. Right up in here. Is that part of the other scope, Lauren, or not?
No, that's part of our scope. This is. What we have in the rendering is more so for illustration purposes. We're in schematic design right now, so that's representative of what it will be. I don't know if that'll be exactly what it will be.
I thought I saw somewhere in the packet that it was called out as like artificial or faux plantings. And I was wondering why that was the direction that I saw versus trying to get living plant material on that wall.
Yeah, we've gone back and forth on
Yeah.
that to start. So landscape, we talk about it too. It's like there's the seasonality, as you know, so you get dead plants in the wintertime.
But I think there's an opportunity to get, even if there's no foliage on the plant material, there's branching, there's interest in that. You know, there's certain plantings that can be, you know, you could have some sort of trellis grid work or something on the wall. I'm sure you're familiar with that.
Sure, we've thought about, we haven't made a decision on that yet.
I've seen like the artificial like ivy and stuff, and it starts to discolor over time, and it doesn't really, you know, you've got such a outstanding looking project. I would want to make sure that
I thought
gets solved.
You didn't complain about the W for the Cubbies or not?
No, that's fine. I'm surprised it's not an H, but.
No. Okay. So, Brian, it's still determined yet?
Okay.
It's a little bit of a placeholder, yes.
Perfect. Question is just overall, obviously, we're starting to put a lot of residents on property, right? And the property overall wasn't designed to have people living there, and now it's getting more and more populated. I've encountered just in driving around the mall, people pushing strollers and stuff in the street, walking their dogs in the street. I know that you've incorporated a lot of pedestrian movement between the residential and the mall, but how do you get those people to get connected to other parts of the village?
Well, I'll start with saying once, you know, because we're under construction, it's not easy straight path. But I think my expectation is once you have the campus set, those pathways will be deliberate for people to walk on.
So let's say phase 2 is completed, and I do see some sidewalks along the perimeter and within. Are they able to connect to the existing mall system to get them off property and out into, let's say, Century Park or some of the other Park District amenities that are really close by? I would think a lot of dog walkers and joggers and stuff. Right now, they're kind of just running across the parking lot, from what I see.
We do have a pedestrian exhibit in the appendix.
You're going to the appendix,
in
I was going to go to
here.
the beginning.
Yeah, that might help to visually see that. I think.
I was going to go to something like that.
I guess the reason I bring it up because it's really kind of outside of the footprint of phase 2, but it impacts phase 2.
Yeah, in the appendix, we have like a wider view exhibit that we can pull up that shows the existing sidewalks and then the proposed.
If you minimize this, it's on the desktop. Yep. And you can full screen that.
Yeah.
Where it is.
Sorry, bear with me.
I mean, first and foremost, I think of safety and just, you know, ease of those residents connecting to other parts of the village.
So you can see we've added sidewalk as we've kind of gone through the phases. So if you're not familiar with all the different phases, this is phase 1, the domain that has been mentioned quite a few times. This is what we call the Milwaukee Outlots. So this is Perry's Steakhouse, and then this is Yard House with an intended third restaurant that will be here. So this sidewalk has been constructed as part of those phases. As you can see, and as you mentioned, there's multiple sidewalks that connect domain. Now there will be like sidewalks behind here as well. I think we saw that in some of the renderings that Andy was showing earlier.
Just starting to illustrate my issue is when you look to the north and west, and even to the south, there's not a lot of connections to all the other, especially Century Park is to the west there, right?
Yeah,
So you could have,
so,
Vernon Hills Days, and all your residents are on this side of the mall, and basically they need, and I guess that's maybe more of
Yeah,
a mall
I do
question.
want to highlight that the lot, that it says on here, lot owned by others. We don't control Macy's or JCPenney's parcel, so that does present a problem.
Have there been any opportunities to connect with those owners and try to,
I mean, we are in constant dialogue with them. We haven't had any conversation specifically about continuing the sidewalks right now. So that's definitely something we can continue to work on, but just to emphasize, we don't control those points. So we'll do what we can when we're available to get control and kind of push the envelope on that.
yeah, and there is access to the public right-of-way proposed with this as well. So, this phase 2 down here, there'll be a crosswalk and a controlled sidewalk through here that's ADA accessible that'll take you out to Town Line, and then
but
similar.
that sidewalk in front of the store there at the light, it just kind of goes and stops right now.
Yes, and you're talking about on Town Line by Sleep Number?
Yeah.
And so as we continue to work our way across the property, you see we own that out
Keep
parcel, and
adding.
part of shifting the road north is to create an out parcel, so when that out parcel is created, that sidewalk will be continued. And so we'll just work our way around the campus, but we're, again, super excited about the connectivity we have on the east side.
No, I think what you've done in 1 and 2 is outstanding. I just look at the bigger picture of trying to connect to that large Park District
Yeah.
parcel that's right there, and everybody's gonna, obviously go, line of sight. They're gonna go right across the parking lot with bikes and that sort of thing. And that's just, it concerns me a little bit, so. Hopefully you can connect with the other owners of those parcels and work something out.
Is there a crosswalk there on Town Line by the Sleep Number?
No, there's not right now. That's something that we've discussed with the village as potential with improvements along Town Line. That is an IDOT roadway, so it's obviously a larger process that will have to occur. IDOT takes a little bit longer to approve things, if you all know the history of IDOT. But yeah, that is something that has been contemplated. Right now, essentially what we're looking at with this exhibit is improving what we can with each ongoing development, and then seeing how that relates, as you mentioned, like with the village on a larger scale.
This is one of the items that we had covered during technical review between myself and our engineers over in Public Works. That intersection connects to another shopping center that also has congestion issues. So by kind of opening up the can of worms on the north side, you can't avoid involving the south side. So we're looking at the crosswalk as potentially being a village project. It's something we're sort of in the early stages of discussing, trying to figure out. We have the same issues you have, just trying to, once there are people living here, we have fantastic parks, there's trails, the Des Plaines River Trail is very close to here. So there are things that the residents will want to access, and we want them to feel like a part of the community as well. So we're in constant contact with the mall team, trying to figure out where the village might be able to step in where they hit the brick wall with the change of ownership from lot to lot. So everybody wants this to happen, these connections to get better. So we're trying to figure out the best way to make it
Has there
happen.
been any progress with Macy's or JCPenney?
No, not in terms of pedestrian connections across the lot, no. But there are some preliminary plans in the work to address some of these issues, to start making connections out. We're just not quite at a point where we can get into major public discussion with exactly what it looks like, because we don't know for sure yet either. So.
And I guess on the reverse, people biking to the mall, is there bike parking or any place to lock up your bike?
We do have bike racks planned in the plazas.
And there's existing bike parking at the main mall entrances as well.
Okay, great. I have one more thing, sure. You show containers, groupings of containers in a lot of different areas. Will those containers be filled 12 months out of the year, rotated with different materials, or?
The planting, the planters?
Like the planters,
Yes.
I'm assuming
They
flower
will.
containers?
They will.
Yeah.
To Brendan's point, they're gonna be planting so that something's in bloom kind
So
of
it's-
at all times.
The idea is that there'll be like 4 or 5 rotations throughout the year so that
Yeah.
they won't be empty.
Right.
Thank you.
Trying to figure out the parking here. I know that I'm looking at what some of the comments were during technical review. Were those changes made on these plans that we have?
So yes, the plans that you have do show a lot of the changes that were made. I don't think we provided the civil sheets that show things like signage, but we did work with them to remove, there was some street parking that was adjusted. We couldn't, talking with the petitioner on this one, a lot of that street parking directly in front of the retail is necessary for leasing purposes. But the main access drives, we wanted to make sure that we weren't clogging it up with people backing up into it. So the diagonal parking was adjusted. They widened the drive aisle where the diagonal parking is. So as somebody pulls out of diagonal parking, you're not immediately right on a vehicle, creating that conflict. They did realign very early on in the technical review, they realigned the drive aisles in this parking lot. So you can see they point directly toward the entrance, which is sort of typical shopping center style where you can walk down the aisle to get to the main entrance. And then they did align it with the other, the parking stalls to the west. So they're kind of weaving it into the stalls that will remain. Is that the kind that you're referring to?
Well, yeah, a few things. First of all, so it's all angled towards the main mall. Do you think people are going to be parking there to go to the new retail? So I'm looking at like, if you're going to these stores down here, and are you parking over here to the west? Is that the main idea for them to park there? Because I don't see a path for them to get there.
So you can kind of see on this exhibit, so there's a little bit of both. So there's 20 retail spaces that we are accounting for the new mixed-use building. So that's this new Hawthorne row through here. So there'll be retail on this side and retail on this side. The 20 spaces that are counted are these parallel stalls that are here, and then these spaces in the back, which have like immediate access to this connection point that goes through the 2 sections of the building here. And then additionally, there is reserved for retail only spaces in the garage as well, which all adds up to that. Obviously, when you go out there, you're not gonna see these imaginary lines of you can't park here because of this. The goal would be that because of the direction that these are facing, like Andrew mentioned, these are pointed towards the main mall. So that direction leads you to park there, use the new mall entrance, whereas the proximity of these and then signage and things will lead you to park either on these few parallel spaces, these back spaces, or the garage.
Okay, which spaces are you requesting the variance from for the length?
It is the existing stalls that are over here. This is just being slightly reconfigured and restriped for the most part. So these will, on everything west of this drive aisle, so just this section, would maintain the existing size and length that the rest of the mall does. These angled spaces that are along this new access drive, so again, that roadway, that access drive is wider, and then also those angled spaces meet code currently. The only thing would be the restriping and slight reconfiguration of the angled stalls to match the existing configuration.
And how wide are they?
The width is the same, the length is reduced slightly, I think by a couple feet.
It's 18, and it also applies to the parking stalls within the structured parking garage.
So 18 feet long, but how wide?
9.
Okay, and then your parallel parking, do you have any concerns about the landscaping? Are those elevated beds or anything like that? Are you worried about the doors getting hit?
There's an elevated curb around those landscaping beds, and then they're in sets, I want to say, about 18 inches from the curb line.
Yeah, so at the street, we're 18 inches from the back of street curb to the curbed planter, and that's just another 6-inch planter. So really you have 2 feet from the face of curb to face of curb along the parallel parking before you get to the raised planter. So it's just 6-inch curb, 18 inches, 6-inch curb.
Okay.
So I have a question with the parking. For the retail, where are the employees going to park? If there are 20 spaces for the new retail, is there designated parking for employees? I wouldn't want them to take, those 20 spaces.
They can also park in the structured parking garage as well. And sometimes at mall campuses, the Centennial team, if it becomes an issue, can define areas on campus that are dedicated for the retail workers. So, and typically those spots are further away from the exits.
Can I ask a question, please? In the structured parking garage that you're building, how many levels is it?
It is
4?
4.5.
Okay. So how many spaces are allotted for residential, for the people who live there, and how many for retail?
There's 130 spaces for retail in the garage. And I want to say it was 406 in the garage for residential.
Okay. So only 130 for retail. So it gets very crowded, especially like across the street. I know, and people are going to run for that covered parking as soon as it hits below 50 to 40 degrees. Are you going to have a time frame, like a certain amount of time that people can park?
No, there's no time restriction currently, no.
Okay, so like employees could park there and park there all day, pretty much, if they,
Yes, they could. They could.
and only, so that, there's 130 spots for retail?
There's 130 for retail in the structured parking garage, plus the 20 on the street. And then there's the west parking field as well that could service that retail strip.
Would you ever make a plan where the employees can only park in like a certain part of the lot?
We could do that, yes. If it
Yeah.
becomes an issue and
It will be
the
an issue, I'm
employees
sure.
are parking right by the front door, we can designate areas on the campus plan where those employees will have to park.
Okay, thank you.
But it's not just retail visitors parking those spots. I'm sure guests of the residents are also going to need it.
Yes.
And they're going to park
And-
overnight or for a weekend or,
And guest parking is an issue that they're actively trying to solve over at Domain. Right now, it's difficult to get the guests into the structured parking garage above the gate. The resident has to let them in. So the on-site team is looking into different solutions to make that easy, so that they park in the right spot, which is above the gate with the rest of the retail spots. So some things they're looking into is adding a keypad and sending out a code for keypad access.
so there's visitor spaces within the
There's visitor
restricted.
spaces within the residential
Residential.
portion of the garage, so everything on above the gate.
And I think it was one of the first slides, you had a comparison of the original approved parking and number of residents and then the proposed. And I think the number of units went up and the amount of parking went down? Or
The
did I
parking
not?
ratio went down. So we previously were proposing 1.5 parking stalls per unit, and now we're at 1.4. And that is informed by the actual parking demand that we're seeing over at Domain. So right now, the garage is parked at 1.09, if you trend that to like, if, let's say it's fully occupied, it almost never is, but if it were fully occupied, that would be 1.17. So we think that that reduction from 1.5 to 1.4 will still have plenty of room to park the residents and their guests.
So that handles the residents and the guests, but not the retail component. Did the retail component
Not the
shrink?
retail. The retail is outside of that 1.4 number. That 1.4 is just the amount for the residential.
I guess my question is, did the number of approved retail spaces from a couple years ago change to what's approved now for retail? Did that number go up or down?
We're looking at campus-wide. So the number of parking stalls per 1,000 square feet of retail space now is the same as it was in 2022. So right now it's built at 4.16 parking stalls per 1,000 square feet of retail space. The same as 2022, it's more the allocation of where they are.
So there are less covered, there are less garage spaces for retail, and there's just more surface? And we're getting to the same final number?
Yeah.
What about electric vehicle charging? I know that the current Domain building has those stations. Will they also be in the new structure?
There
or-
will be, and we will have a lot more electrical vehicle charging at this building. There is a state law that requires us to have 50% of the residential parking spaces as EV ready. So that means we have to have the electrical capacity and the conduit running to the parking stalls. So day one, we haven't decided how many we're gonna provide day one. That's still in the works, but it is a lot easier if we see the demand picking up, we could just add, we just add a charger.
And that'll apply to the retail segment as
The
well?
retail will also have electric chargers. Right now, we have like 10 figured within the parking
So
garage.
similar to the Phase 1 building?
Yes.
There's a row on the first,
Yeah.
Okay.
Are you considering the restaurants, retail, as far as parking? Because I know that the restaurants across the street in Melody Farms are taking up a majority of the parking, not leaving not enough parking for the retail.
Yes, we know that there's some shifting with peak demand, where a lot of the parking is allocated to one spot. So during some of those peak hours, people will have to park a little further away than what is maybe desired. But overall, we think we have enough campus-wide to serve those restaurants.
There was a condition of approval in the staff report. It seemed like a good time to talk about it, requiring, I think it's the last condition on the motion that relates to the plans. So one of the concerns that we've had and working through technical review, and even prior to the technical review on this, is trying to really get a handle on this distribution of parking issue. What portions of the property are serving what retail and residential areas? So the residential we do view as separate, provided that they're able to address some of the issues with guest parking and things like that. But where the retail, the weight of the retail is this sort of this west parking field. So the condition of approval that we're suggesting is to really develop this wayfinding signage plan, not necessarily for pedestrians to find stores, but primarily for people to, if they hit a peak demand, how do they navigate the lot? Where do you put those critical decision point signs to point people toward the structured parking? I think people tend to want to park in the surface lots, and I think getting people to actually enter the structured parking is a little bit of a challenge. So our suggestion on that is that the wayfinding signage plan come in with the site development permit and not wait longer. So we want to start to see that firmed up a little bit, and this is the exact reason why. It's just how do you, you're clearly meeting the total parking number, but there are some hot spots, and how do you direct people at the, on Saturday night? How do you direct them to the structured parking or the other less used surface lots?
Yeah, and that is something that we are willing to do and we will be actively working on. We will be utilizing some of the same wayfinding that is over at Domain. So there's pedestrian signage, there's vehicular signage as well, and we'll have to work with our signage consultant to make sure it's in the right spots to navigate people to those garage and across the campus.
I just have, if I don't mind, two things. One is your question on the retail parking for employees. Every lease has a requirement that they park where we tell them to park. So if it becomes an issue, we have control, and we tell if they don't participate. So we can enforce that. Just also consideration that the Carson's box is down, and in this iteration, we're filling that back in with parking. So you're taking about 200,000 square feet of retail that has gone away, adding back parking. So the net is more positive. We're talking about just taking a couple thousand square feet of retail you're adding back from the couple 100,000 that went away. So the net flow should be good for the consumer's interaction.
It's hard for me to explain this, but when the mall started going south, when everything started, even a couple of years ago, even around holiday time, the mall was packed. I mean, no matter, even if they had 5 stores. Down to the outlets were packed.
Great.
Yeah, I mean, it's just crazy. I mean, and then with across the street where Nordstrom Rack is and all the restaurants, I mean, that is a cluster. The parking is insane. So I'm just, I'm just saying this is going to be spectacular. Everyone's very excited about this. Just as long as there is a pretense that the employees should be parking and the restaurant workers and, I don't know if you can put a time limit in the garage other than for residents for 4 people are going to park there no matter what. I get it. They're going to do what they want, but, just so they're.
Habits get formed, people have their ways to go. So we'll have to deal with that, as Courtney alluded to, which we had to understand what those patterns develop too. Holidays, it's a good problem and a bad problem. But with other assets that we own, in Holiday, you find a neighboring asset that doesn't have an issue with parking. It's an office building, and we shuttle employees back and forth. So you require them to park off campus, leave the parking stalls here for guests. So I don't know how bad that is for this project, but there's options we can consider to make sure there's ample parking for our guests at the right time of the year.
Thank you.
Before we leave the parking question, where the EV charging, this is something that's a little bit fluid right now. The Planning and Zoning Commission doesn't necessarily deal with the building code variations. That's something that's reserved for the board. So there are building code variations that I just have briefly glossed over in the staff report. When this goes, if this were to move ahead to the village board, I would probably include something in the staff memo for the village board to elaborate a little bit on the current status of the electric vehicle parking. And there are towns that are amending now their local building codes, which you can do to adjust the minimum required. We are all in favor of electric vehicle parking and charging here. There is a little bit of a safety aspect to putting electric vehicle charging in structured parking garages. So as this is kind of still in flux, we'll probably suggest to the board some flexibility to adjust the total number of residential spaces. We're not exactly sure how that's going to play out right now.
I just have one more question. Can you kind of just walk through real quick what's happening at the entrance on the south side when you come off Town Line? Like, how do you get in if you're driving?
Are you referring to the first
So if you're coming off of Town Line and you want to go into the retail area?
There's no stop signs there. Like who has right of way? Can you address some of that?
When I say, it looks like you can't go straight, correct?
No, so you're talking about this, and so this is what we call gate 5. So it's three-way stop controlled, so the only free flow traffic is coming northbound off of Town Line, and that's just so you don't back up on the IDOT right of way. So that's the same condition that there is today. Also, the same condition, this is stop controlled on the east and west legs of the intersection. So what we're changing is this north leg up here. So there is a through lane that you can go northbound here. This new Hawthorne Row is a two-way street. You got parallel parking on both sides. The one change is that this is when you're going southbound towards Town Line on this north leg here, you can only make a right out.
Give a better slide that shows that area.
Let me see if I
I
could.
think on a lot of yours,
Is that a curved island in the middle that kind of directs you to a right-hand turn?
It is, yes. So we call that a pork chop. Fun name. But yeah, so that's a pork chop island to deter people. So unless they hop the curb, they're not able to go.
Is there enough pork to kind of
Yes.
prevent the person from really wanting to go to the light?
Yes, and so we've done it on, so the pork chop is on the north side of it as well. So this is a view from our traffic study that might help a bit. This is more of a diagrammatic view, but it's got the arrows on it so you can kind of see the directions of traffic flow. So
The next one also has,
yeah, if you want.
that one's better.
Yeah.
Maybe not.
Yeah, so if you, this one is more diagrammatic, but it does like help to imagine where people can turn. So these red circles on this diagram are existing stop signs. The red circles with the hollow inside are proposed stop signs, and then it's got the arrows. So the reason why, and this has been a discussion even since the last iteration of this when we came in 2022 that our traffic engineer has been working on. So there is already a strain on this gate 5. It's not like any level where the intersection would need to be modified, but if all of the phase 2 traffic was directed to gate 5, which it would be if there was no pork chop there, if there was no right out only, that would put even more strain on that intersection and cause queuing of vehicles up into the Hawthorne Row and like potentially through that intersection. So this right only forces cars, and there's also, so there's that pork chop section, but then there's also a median actually on Hawthorne Center Drive that comes out so that people can't go around and then like loop back, so that section along Hawthorne Center will also deter, like force people to actually go to the right. So that all was done in our traffic studies to push more traffic towards gate 4 because that's not heavily used at all today. So the intent would be to, instead of having potential queuing issues at that intersection or potential IDOT improvements that would need to be made, we have that turning movement so that people can go to gate 4. It's really not that much further. They still have full access to Town Line. You can turn left, right, go straight, and it all gets you to the same shopping center on the south side and also full access to Town Line Road here, and is much safer from a traffic perspective.
can you turn left if you're heading east on the Ring Road?
Yes.
Okay, so
Yeah.
these haven't been updated then? I'm looking at this correctly, that we're showing if you're coming north off of Town Line that you can only turn left and right, you can't go straight. And if you're going eastbound on the Ring Road, you have to go straight or right.
Yeah,
So
so
you could go, anybody could turn in, you just are restricted on who could turn out.
Yes.
Or which way you could turn out.
exactly, yeah. So the only restriction is on southbound traffic from the new Hawthorne Row, that you can only make a right out. You cannot go straight or left.
Are we concerned that somebody coming in off a Town Line, because they don't have to stop, they're just going to kind of fly right through that intersection?
There's multiple other conditions, like similar.
Right now, they come to a T, right?
Yes, yeah.
They have to make a decision. Now they can kind of just flow
Yeah,
right in.
so that's a similar condition to what is happening at Gate 6, which is by domain or Phase 1. So it'll be, this one is actually full access, so you can go straight or right out of Hawthorne Row, the existing Hawthorne Row. We haven't seen any issues with people slowing down, like needing to slow down. Usually, especially with that curbed median in there, it's not a wide expanse for a through lane, so that naturally deters drivers to slow down through that area as well. So that curbed island serves a couple of different uses.
I have a couple of things, sorry. So I'm just looking at the staff review, and it talks about rooftop mechanical units and things of that nature. I know with Phase 1, you can see, it's not so much the rooftop mechanicals, but you can see like a chain link fence.
So that's something that we worked with them on technical review. So the chain link fence is actually required fall protection. The connection between the garage and the roof is such that you have to prevent people at the garage level from entering the roof because it's a fall hazard from that point on. So this garage is designed differently so that you wouldn't have a direct connection so that a pedestrian could walk straight off the parking. And so that is necessary fall protection. So it's one of the lessons learned from Phase 1 that we've incorporated into the technical review.
So there just won't be one. There's no
on
need for it.
this iteration. With respect to the rooftop units, at this point, we do believe that all of the rooftop units are going to be far enough back. The angle of the roof itself would prevent you from seeing anything. So that was the condition of approval in the staff report would be in the event that we need it. It would be designed up front so that they're not scrambling to try to design a screen with a roof that wasn't designed to hold it.
Will they be screened if I'm at the AMC level, though?
So we're from the AMC level, we did require the screening of the first building. There does become a point at which you can't.
Like if you're looking straight across
it's
the...
directly in your eyes. So we are within
multi-purpose
reason.
space.
We try to be reasonable in making the call as to what you can see. We don't require screening from the apartments down. The standards basically from normal eye level, a couple hundred feet away. Are you getting a good view of it? But we're willing to work with them on that. As I said, the plan so far, everything should be far enough back. It's just in the event that they have to move something to align with the mechanical chase or something like that, we just want to make sure that the roof is designed early on to support that.
And I assume they would want, because that multi-purpose space is so dramatic and great, that if you're up high at the AMC level, you don't have a big AC unit or some sort of mechanical that's going to detract from that view. So hopefully that's taken into account. And then I also noticed that there's some language here about larger shade trees or larger trees in the west parking.
So I don't know if you're able to easily get to that.
Let me see. Go back to the presentation. I know which area you are.
So the staff concern, this right where that 6 is on there. I don't know.
Yeah, here.
So the concern that I had on this was just the visibility of that wall. That's a blank wall on the back of the retail on the Hawthorne Row shops there. So the suggestion I was making is, some way, either plant a more mature evergreen at the beginning so that more of that wall is screened. I had, if it's lower cost, lower maintenance over time, put a sculpture there, add something just because that location is just so visible.
Is it just, is it the architecture there that the building is just like a blank wall, or?
So it is the back of the retail. So it's not entirely blank. It's, I don't know if
Could
you
there
have
be
that.
something more architectural there or mural or something to?
We do have some murals proposed for that side of the building. That area that you're referring to is, let's see if you can see my cursors. It's like this area that's recessed back.
Okay.
It's just concealing like a back of house corridor behind the retail space. So there's a little variation in material, but there's no, windows penetrating that space. So we are providing, a pretty generous landscape area here between the back of the building and these parking stalls. I believe right now there's 4 maple trees proposed, and then infilling between those maple trees are evergreen shrubs to kind of create like a wall.
Are they like more of like a tighter columnar planted closer on center, or are they just traditional?
I think it was the Mojave maple.
Street maple.
So that was the start, so we wanted to get ahead of this early on because we knew so it's basically, it's a back of house corridor that kind of abuts to that wall. So as Courtney was saying, there's no penetrations, it's just kind of there. So what we started with when we saw that is we're gonna mound that area up. So we're gonna be starting at, it's 3 or 4 feet. We're gonna mound that whole thing up to start with, and then do kind of like a sequencing of low ground cover, start to step up with shrubs, and then I think we have maples in there right now, but we could easily change to an evergreen, and then.
Is that
even
something from a
differentiate
standpoint of, closer on centers, or to get it to be almost more of a continuous screen as opposed to evenly spaced trees?
So yeah, I think
Just to
we
get
could do
more.
that. So one idea that we were floating around, like even with the mounting, I think we can kind of do a couple of different steps. So maybe do like the Sentinel black pine to start that, tops out somewhere in here, and then step it up with something a little larger. I don't think we want to do a single, like a monocrop back there of 1 tree, again, for seasonal interest, and then, just God forbid something happens and we lose all of them.
Because right now you have 5 trees, 6 trees, so it's not.
It's really not a large area though either, so
I think it's 4. 4 trees in the evergreens, like
So-
pairs of 3 in between.
Yeah, we're trying not to get any tighter than like 20 feet on center if we're gonna do, like.
But I'm assuming that you want something that's not going to put on a big canopy.
Correct.
Because of uses on both sides, so.
So can you repeat what the trees are in that? You said it's alternating? I missed that on the plan, and I thought you had just the evergreens.
No, right now, that's what we do, that's what we
Okay.
do have. But if there's not going to be a mural, and we do need to ensure that we're kind of screening that off.
Okay.
But there is, that whole bed is also kind of multiple levels of ground cover and shrubs, and then with shade trees built within that. And then it's mounded up. I don't
Yeah, right
know,
now
we
you've
have
got
3
the
or
4 State Street maples there.
Okay.
Which, I mean, they're probably shown, 15-foot canopy, 12-foot canopy on the plan, so, and there's a space in between, so I guess that's what I'm thinking is, if we can get something that's a little bit more columnar, that isn't gonna eat up a lot of horizontal space, and plant them closer on center,
Yeah.
it can be more of a wall, more of a separation there, along with the ground level.
Yes.
Yeah. Or arborvitae if we're looking at, yeah.
Maybe.
So I think what I would take away from that is, instead of the very specific condition that was in the motion, a more open-ended condition to look at alternative arrangements of that west planting area facing the west parking fields, or something that just,
It
I
may
think the
not
point
be
has been.
bigger plants, it might be the right type of plant closer on center.
Right. All right, so that's what I would suggest, is just a modified version of that 4th condition that says consideration for an alternate design of the planting bed to the west of the west building.
Okay, are there any other staff comments?
So-
I have one.
Oh,
Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry. On the recommendations, number 4, it says the plans indicate a dedicated left turn lane into sleep number, and staff's recommended a shared center lane.
Yeah, so this is something we didn't catch on technical review, and I don't know if you guys saw that, but the concern that we had very recently was having a dedicated left turn lane really gives preference to those vehicles where if you do a shared use left turn lane, no one feels like they own that spot. So the suggestion is just basically to go shared left turn so that nobody, the conflict is equal at least. So
Yeah.
they're offset drives, and I think that makes the most sense for it.
We discussed that, and we're okay with that revision.
So it's a lane where you can turn left either direction.
Right.
Yeah, so it's that western drive aisle that's kind of along the back of house, and then you can kind of see it at the very bottom. But that sleep number drive, that the already constructed sleep number is slightly offset from it. So right now you can see where Courtney's pointing, that's a left only, so that'll turn into a two-way left turn lane so that people yield and know that there could be traffic coming from either side.
Okay, okay, good.
Is there anything else from the commission? Okay, anything else from staff?
I think I will be really brief on this. I just wanted to sort of frame again what the ask is here. This is a change to a previously approved plan. So the mechanics of this, like you see in the draft motions, are to make an amendment that would essentially cause the repeal of the previous plan set. So that would be what would end up going to the board, just so you understand where we're at. This is, there was an ordinance in 2022. The intention would be to replace that. There are some updates to it. The staff report covered this. I did have some mistakes in the original staff report that I sent a correction out to. So the motions do need to be tweaked slightly to make those corrections. But beyond that, I just wanted to make sure that the report was structured in a way that matched the petitioner's materials, and happy to answer any questions you have on it. They've covered most of the staff comments already, so I'm happy to answer anything that wasn't clear.
For the record, I guess I thought the staff report was very good. So thank you to you and staff.
Okay, so I'd like to close the information gathering portion of the public hearing. And I wanted to mention that responses to the standards for the special use in section 18.3 and the standards for variation as listed in section 21.5 of the zoning code have been provided by the petitioner and are included in the staff report. These responses are entered into the record as having been read. Public notice for the hearing was completed as required by state statute and village code. The publication dates are listed in the staff report. Have any comments been received?
We did receive one written comment. I will hold it for when the public hearing is opened to anybody in the audience to speak. I'll just read the comment that was received.
Okay, that being said, is there anyone from the public that would like to speak? If you can come up and please speak into the microphone and state your name.
Paul Bruno, do you need the address?
No.
I live in the domain. It's great. I'm not here to complain. But Commissioner Fluno, you brought up a couple of excellent questions about walkability and some of the walking around the ring road there. I'm optimistic enough to think that some of that's going to resolve when the construction is done and there's sidewalks. But there is, again, you pointed out there, Mr. Jennings pointed out, there is a concern about the difficulty in getting crosswalks at what I think you're calling Gate 5 across town line. Understand how difficult that can be. Realigning Hawthorne Road to that gate makes a whole lot of sense. But as soon as you do that, it becomes all the more attractive for pedestrians to try and get across there. That retail is line of sight. I've already seen people running across town line trying to get that. You've got a little bit of conflict there. You're going to encourage people to get across there, but you don't have a crosswalk. Moving on to Gate 4, I believe there was a comment about how though the incoming traffic off of Milwaukee has not been a problem. Our apartment happens to look over Yard House, and that is a problem there. The incoming lane, obviously, there's no stop sign because you don't want it to back up onto Milwaukee. The cars move turning left. It's the lane going straight does not truly align with Hawthorne Row. So you get 1 out of 10 cars start to get confused as to whether they're supposed to turn left or to go straight. So it's not working perfectly. I've not seen an accident. I've seen a couple of close calls. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else? Okay, so now the,
So with that, our policy for this is if somebody can't attend a meeting and they do send written communication, we read it into the record at the hearing for them. This is from Heather Sherwin. She lists her address as 323 Marseille. She said that she's unable to attend the public hearing on the changes to the mall project, but has some concerns with an increase in residential density. As Vernon Hills has added more single and multifamily units, traffic has increased and resources have become strained. I worry that adding even more units to an already crowded area will impact quality of life for everyone. What type of traffic studies and other impact research have been done, conducted by Vernon Hills and/or the developer? I also worry the plan is changing midstream by not tearing down as much of the mall and adding new pieces. This project could end up a wonderful asset to the community, but what I'm seeing so far is disconcerting. Thank you for taking the time to read my concerns. I'd appreciate you passing them on to the committee and giving weight to just how much density our town can handle. I did forward this to the development team. I don't know if you had a chance to read it or if you're already driving here, but if you'd like to address either concern from the gentleman who spoke or from the red comment.
Yeah, I can start with what traffic studies have been done. So we have a licensed traffic planner who performed a traffic study. Existing traffic counts were taken in November of last year, 2024. So that was when Domain was already up, Perry's was already up. And then the analysis was done for this mixed use phase plus contemplating the restaurants on Milwaukee as well. It's a very extensive traffic study, which is required by both the Village of Vernon Hills and IDOT. We've already gone through review with IDOT. They've agreed with the findings in the traffic study, and Vernon Hills has as well. So that's what has been done already. That was one of the first steps that's been taken. I know some of the concerns, so just looking at the Gate 5 intersection, because that is what's included as part of this subject here, whereas Gate 6, that's a little bit more on Domain and outside of our scope of work. But at Gate 5, so it will be three-way stop controlled with a designated pedestrian crosswalk that goes through on that western side of it to connect to the sidewalk that is along Sleep Number. There's that landscaped median. There's a section if pedestrians need to stop halfway through, they're able to do that safely. You can kind of see in this image up here where there's that break in that landscape median if they need to stop in any case. But again, it is more of a channelized intersection. It's not wide open, so cars should be naturally slowing down given the different things in that area. And the one up by Domain as well, that was evaluated as part of the Domain review. So that one, like the mall could look at that as well, but just wanted to note that that's outside of the scope of phase 2 and this hearing.
Yeah, and even if it is outside of the scope, it's certainly something. We have a cooperative relationship with this team, and we meet with them every other week. So that comment is not going to disappear. We will revisit it with them to just look at the alignment and the signage and just see if there are any options to address your concern, okay?
Thank you.
Did you touch on the residential density? part of that?
So the residential density, when you look at this, the change in density from what was previously approved is negligible. It was a few units over what they had previously approved in the 2022 ordinance. So yes, it is something we look at. I do think that it is a fair question to continue to ask. A lot of the traffic that I think is referred to isn't certainly created by 300 residential units. I don't know if the development team would like to speak to that, but the traffic, this intersection is one of the busiest in all of Lake County in terms of vehicles per day, and that, you know, the amount of trips generated that you'd see in a study that was just referred to are negligible, I would say, to use the same word twice. But it is not. From the village standpoint, we also read the study and did accept their projections.
Yeah, I can mention too, the nice thing about this being on a mall campus as well is a lot of it is contained to just mall traffic. So if there is any queuing, there's a lot of internal roads rather than queuing happening on the external IDOT roads. So it's unique where it's not like a subdivision where you're directly out into a public right of way. These have a lot more space. Not that there is intended queuing, but like anything that was shown in the traffic study can all be contained within the mall campus.
And I'll add the traffic study was run several months ago during the technical review. At that time, we were assuming we would have more cars. We were assuming the 1.5 parking ratio serving the Phase 2 building, and it's actually been revised to the 1.4. So the traffic study is accommodating more cars than we would actually have.
Thank you.
Okay, so I guess, 1 second. We have a standing motion to approve. And there are going to be 3 motions. The first one is a recommendation for approval to amend ordinance 2013-13 as amended, and this is the site plan, landscape plan, and architectural plans, as stated in the staff report, and we have some additional conditions.
I can just interject briefly on that. The updates that were made to the sign code variation and the zoning variation don't affect this particular motion. So it really is just the conditions that were discussed. And if you want me to, I can just kind of read through what I had.
Go
And, so the conditions from the staff report, number 1, petitioner shall work with staff to address light levels at the Hawthorne Row Mall Drive intersection and adjust the curb radius at Ring Road Mall Drive intersection. These improvements shall be completed prior to the residential occupancy of the Phase 2 building. These are minor open items from prior work that we've been working with the team on. The time frame for these is deliberately pushed out a couple of years because there may be other projects that get closer to these exact spots before the residential occupancy. So it's kind of a reminder to all of us to keep these things in mind, whether it occurs with this project or any other project. Number 2 is the condition relating to flexibility of design decisions on the mall elevations. It reads, Director of Community Development shall have the authority to approve revisions and modifications to the approved Phase 2 mall elevations, including revisions and modifications to the materials, color palette, signage, and canopies, provided he reasonably determines that the revised or modified elevation is substantially conform in character, quality, and architectural expression to the approved mall elevations and complement the overall design of the redevelopment project. Number 3, the center lane on Mall Drive shall be striped as shared left for both directions of traffic rather than offset dedicated left for one direction. Number 4, as modified, would be petitioner shall consider alternative designs for the area to the west of the western building. Number 5, in the event that rooftop mechanical units will be closer than 12 feet to the exterior wall, the construction drawings with the initial permit application shall include screen details. Number 6, site wayfinding signage plan shall be provided with the site development permit application. Number 7, we'll start the ones that I seem to have consensus from the commission, and we can just confirm these one by one as we go. Number 7, if employee parking becomes an issue, petitioner shall designate an employee area, an employee parking area. Number 8, the petitioner shall continue to work to provide sidewalk connections to the village network. Number 9, petitioner shall consider live plantings for the wall along the, what are we calling it, the grand staircase? The retail landing spot? Retail landing spot? Retail landing. Number 10 was something that I noticed while you were flipping through the renderings. We did have a concern with the railings at the top of some of the higher retaining walls in the first. I just want to make sure that we all remember to check that this time around so it's not after the fact. So it's a condition that reads, the upper level railings shall be designed for their purpose prior to construction. And I think that was all the ones I had.
Can I ask a question? Regarding to the parking issue, can there be, going forward, just before they even start, a designated place for employee parking, but instead of checking to see if it's going to be an issue?
We can phrase that however you want to, as the commission, you guys could phrase this recommendation to the board as you see fit. If there's, you could ask them to provide the plan and implement it if needed. You know, if you want them to go ahead and designate the area, show where it's going to be, and then, determine at some later date if it's becoming an issue, they would have to ensure, they would start really enforcing it.
Yeah.
But they probably need to designate it within parking that they control.
Right.
Which isn't much in this area, right?
So that 7th condition would be provide a plan to designate an employee parking area to be enforced if needed.
Or just to be enforced?
No, I think
If
yes,
needed.
because if it's not needed in the beginning, we don't need to enforce it.
Okay.
That's,
I think it's really in their best interest if they figure out it's a problem to correct it, so I think they naturally do it.
That was all that I had on this. Again, doesn't touch the variations yet. I'll describe what happened with those in a moment. But any other comments on that motion? It's a standing motion.
so we need a second.
Yeah, correct.
I'll second.
And a roll call, please?
Hang on one second, I'm a little slow. We have the motion made by Chair Pro Tem Cotton and seconded by Commissioner Fluno. Commissioner Fluno,
Yes.
Commissioner Leese,
Yes.
Commissioner Nabbitt,
Yes.
and Chair Pro Tem Cotton.
Yes. Okay. The second motion is to recommend approval to amend ordinance number 2013-14. And this is to revise the special use permit for the mall PUD. And
So this is a little bit unusual. The revision of the special use permit for the mall PUD covers the variations that are baked into the plans. So the plans were the previous motion. This now addresses the variations that might be adjusted. So most of these variations exist in the current, the 2022 ordinance. So to ensure that when that ordinance is repealed and replaced, we'd be copying everything over with the exceptions of these handful of things that are changing. So that is the mechanics of what would happen. So the zoning code variations, we have 13.6.1, reducing the required front yard setback from 60 feet to 16 feet. The prior approval in 2022 was 23.9 feet. Number 2, Section 13.6.2, reducing required side setback from 35 feet to 7 feet. The prior approval is 20 feet. Number 3, Section 13.5.1, to permit a building height of 4 stories or 54 feet at architectural towers. That was not specified in the prior approval. 13.5.1, number 4, 13.5.1, to permit a building height of 5 stories or 63 feet at the elevator towers. Those were 60 feet in the prior approval. Number 5, section 19.7, reducing the residential parking ratio from 2.3 stalls per unit to 1.4 stalls per unit. That was 1.5 in the prior approval. Changes to this that I sent in the updated report. There's a sixth variation that does need to be updated. The prior approval reduced the minimum size of a 3-bedroom unit to 1,300 square feet. This current request is to further reduce the size of a 3-bedroom to 1,250 square feet. So that is the scope of the zoning variations. Are there any questions on the zoning before I list off the sign? So the sign variations that are carried over include, there's a existing variation for the size of the Dave & Buster's sign. The one that is changing is the Hawthorne sign located on the north elevation, changing from 496 feet to 515 square feet rather than the maximum permitted size of 150 square feet. And just to clarify, when we say north elevation on that, are we talking about sort of the east, or is that above the new south entrance and the east entrance? Okay, so I will correct that to say east instead of north.
Those are the letters that are on the roof line.
Similarly, I'll have to update the next one, which is allowing it was written as north. It's actually the east elevation Hawthorne sign to be mounted above the roof line. The D was previously referred only to the south elevation. It does need to now include the east elevation. So the mall identification signs directly above the entrances would be 77 square feet rather than 44 as permitted. There is a correction in this. There's an additional change. The blade signs up to 5 square feet would not be included in the wall sign area for each unit. With that, I believe that is all the items on that particular motion.
Are there any questions on that motion? Then can I have a second for the motion?
Second.
Roll call, please.
So we have a motion made by Chair Pro Tem Cotton, seconded by Commissioner Nabbit. Commissioner Nabbit?
Yes.
Commissioner Fluno?
Yes.
Commissioner Leese?
Yes.
And Chair Pro Tem Cotton.
Yes. And the final motion for this hearing is recommend approval of the waiver of a preliminary plan or plat requirement and final plat approval for the 6-lot subdivision. And
I do have to add a condition on this one. We have a standard condition for these that I missed, which is that it's subject to final review by the village engineer, the village attorney, and the Lake County Public Works Department. I just forgot as I was writing that one. So it's a standard condition that we have on plats. So with that condition added, we have the standing motion.
yes, and can we have a second?
We have a motion made by Chair Pro Tem Cotton, seconded by Commissioner Leese. Commissioner Leese?
Yes.
Commissioner Fluno?
Yes.
Commissioner Nabbit?
Yes.
And Chair Pro Tem Cotton.
Yes.
With that, all of these motions making recommendations were approved. I will package this up for the village board. I would anticipate probably the September 16th meeting. I will ask, because of the gap in time between the September 16th meeting and the next meeting, all we normally would do a first read, second read of this. This is substantially similar to what the village board saw in October, so I can attempt to package it up as a new business item so that a vote would be possible on September 16th. So we will try that. If for some reason that isn't possible, they can always make that recommendation to bring it back as an old business item at the next meeting. So this would be the fastest possible path, and we'll try that and see if we're able to do it.
Presentation was excellent.
Thank you.
Thank you. We have the approval of the minutes, the Planning and Zoning Commission minutes from the July 23rd meeting. Do I have a second?
Second.
And all in favor?
All right,
Aye.
yes, aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Is there any development review tonight?
It's relatively late, so I will try to go quickly through it. Let's see if I can. We do have a couple of recent openings to report. Caillou Ramen is now open. Aged and Oak opened. Stan's Donuts within Mariano's opened, and they did a grand reopening for Mariano's when that happened, and B-Hop is open. Just update for the commission on a handful of construction items in various stages, some underway, some are kind of wrapping up their review. Farmer's Best, we're intending to take the elevation change to the board, which is our procedure for elevation changes to an approved PUD. So Farmer's Best would be the area for the former Bed Bath & Beyond, Joanne Fabric, and part of the DSW. We have Mendocino Farms, that's one that you see the rendering for, which would take the slice unit in Melody Farm. Wells Fargo is wrapping up. Kitty Academy is underway. Their foundation is in, and they're moving ahead. We just recently approved our first commercial charging station under the new zoning requirements. Exciting for me, not for anybody else, but that'll be out in front of Casey's. The first 4 spaces right along Town Line Road will have chargers in them. Qdoba is returning to town. They're taking the unit that was formerly GameStop and the other vacant unit next to it. Countryside Fire Protection District is almost ready to get started on their project. That did not go through planning and zoning, but they're doing an addition to their building. Raising Cane's getting close to demolition and the site permit. The Nest remains under review. The Mall Drive shift that facilitates the Phase 2 project that we just discussed this evening, that work is underway. And then Guzman y Gomez, which was approved by the board recently, is under review. I am thinking, although I don't have a specific item in the hopper, that we'll send out a poll in the near future for potential dates, September 24th, October 1st, and October 8th. So just keep in mind, I will send the poll out to everybody. Do you have one you definitely can't do? 2. Okay. All right, I'll be sending
The
that
Raising
out.
Cane's, so when they came through, they said they would start up in 2026, and so they're pushing that up, or?
I don't, they had said January. I think that our permitting process, because of how detailed technical review is maybe a little easier than what they anticipated. So they may be making an effort to at least get under roof. I don't know for sure.
Is DSW going somewhere?
DSW is staying. DSW's unit configuration is changing. Part of it would become the grocery store.
What's Mendocino Farm?
You know, that's a good question. I looked it up. It looks good. I have not been to one. I don't know that there are any in the area. But when it first came in, it was presented as Mendocino Sandwich Company. So I'm imagining sandwiches. But
Got a cow.
they do have a cow. So the Melody Farm PUD is one. It's a little bit newer, and it does allow us some flexibility to work with the landlord to approve tenants in sort of an expedited fashion.
Is that similar to how we were talking about the elevations for the Hawthorne?
Right, when you have somebody come in, they'd present it. It seems like it's comparable to what is in the palette of things that are approved there.
Because Melody also has a lot of
There's a lot going on. Yeah.
similar changes in heights.
And a lot of it's internal, too. It's kind of similar that the elevations in the mall are not really visible from the street, similar to the interior part of Melody Farm. That's it for me.
Okay, I need, so getting motion for adjournment, but I need a second.
I will second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thanks, everyone.